Yeah, Mira, tell me, you're from Ukraine.
Yes.
Tell me your story. How did you come over to Canada?
Well, I grew up in a Christian home, and my father really wanted me to go to the special Bible school in Toronto. And my sister went there too. So when I turned 18, I went to the Bible school. It's called School of Ministry. It's in Etobicoke. Um, and I met my husband there.
How old?
Well, I met him when I was 19. A year later, I ended up staying interning with that school. The school is together with a very big church, and the church has its own creative department and production department. So I've learned photography there and graphic design, and I ended up actually being a photographer and a graphic designer. And I met my husband there, and 3 years later almost we got married. And
When was the date?
June 17th,
You better get it right.
2017. My birthday is on July 17th, so I always mix them up.
So June 17, 2017?
Yeah, that's when.
And this was in Ukraine. Talk a little bit about your wedding.
Yeah, we've always loved Father of the Bride movie. My dad is a lot like Steve Martin. He's very funny and very sweet kind of a person. And we wanted to have a wedding in the country where we wouldn't live because we moved here. So we did it at my family home, and it was wonderful. It was very small. We've had some Canadian and American and English friends that came over, and it was a good wedding. And it's been 5 years now, and I've only visited home 2 times since, because the last 2 years didn't really allow for traveling
With COVID. And you've got a big family.
And I got a big family, so it's a much harder for them to get here than it is for me. So that's why we were always the one, my husband and I, trying to go over for Christmas and summer, but we haven't seen them. I think it's almost 3 years now, actually, technically.
And tell me the ages of your brothers, sisters.
So my oldest sister is 8 years older than me, and she has 2 of her own children. They're 6 and 11. And then I have a brother who's only 2 years younger, so he's 24, turning 25. And then my sister is 17, and then 15, sorry.
Your brother.
Yeah, so it's like big gap, small gap, big gap, small gap. And but my nephew is very close with my youngest brother. Even though they're uncle and nephew, they're more like brothers. They only have 4 years gap. Yeah, it's a big family. It's a big crowd, and yeah, we always.
Family get-togethers would be literally family get-togethers.
Well, yeah, we don't have a big extended family. Our immediate family is enough for that.
But your grandmother, how old is your grandmother?
She is
Roughly?
over 80.
Okay.
And she's not mobile. She was actually, her birthday was close to my birthday, and we always joke that I was born for her. And I was also named after my grandfather. I never got to meet him. He passed away before we saw him, but I was named after him. That's why my name is so weird. You typically hear Vladimir as a male, but never as a female. But that's why I was named after my grandfather. In Ukraine, because it came out of Soviet Union, we used to carry 2 names, one in Russian, because that was the Soviet Union language, and one in your republic language, which obviously Ukraine is not a republic. It was just pushed down. So I used to have 2 names in my passport, Volodymyra, which is Ukrainian, and Vladimira, which is Russian. So now I only have my Ukrainian one. I used to stick with Russian because it was just a little bit easier to pronounce, but it went down to Mira anyways. But I think I'm gonna go back to my full Ukrainian name now.
After this?
Yeah, I used to. It's always hard to explain these things like Soviet Union, Soviet heritage, why do you have two names, why they're so weird. It's always been really hard to explain that to anyone. It's a complicated history and no one really cared about that before, and it's very sad that this is the way we bring awareness of what Ukraine is and the hardships we've had to live through coming out of the Soviet Union. And yeah, so I've always, the life in Ukraine is very difficult. It's been hard ever since the 90s. They've just got on their feet as a proper sovereign country. Like, it's had a very ancient culture and history. It was never nothing like part of Russia, nothing like that. But the Soviets kind of tramped on our history and on our culture. So
It looks like a beautiful country.
it is absolutely beautiful, and but nobody really cared about it because everyone, like, you have no idea how many times people tell me, oh, is that part, where are you from? I'm from Ukraine. Is that part of Russia? And then I have to explain that it's not, and it's been a long time and people still don't know. And well, now they know. So I always kind of had to live here in a very comfortable Western world, knowing that life back home isn't very easy, and I could never really explain it to anyone here. You don't get it. And now it all blew up in our face. We've always known that there's a threat of war. We kind of grew up thinking that, and especially after 2014, which is when I went to Canada actually for the first time. I remember calling my mom and asking how is it going, and she said, well, Russians are coming and their tanks are here. And I was like, what? And ever since then, our life has never really been stable. And
What area are you in, or were you in, like your family? And I don't mean the street or anything, but I mean
no. We're from Kiev. We're from the capital. Yeah, that's where we're from, and we never thought that Russians would dare to touch Kiev. Like, it just seems so unthinkable. We always thought that he's after the eastern territories that historically are a little bit closer to Russia, but still they're not Russia. So
what is it? And again, we'll get into this, but I mean, why? I was talking to Cecilia coming down. I don't understand what it's for. What is it for?
what exactly?
What's this war for? Like, why is he doing this?
Well, he thinks he has the right to our land because it was never ours to begin with. He thinks that Lenin, who was one of the heads of Soviet Union, created Ukraine, which is very, very untrue and historically incorrect. Technically, Kiev is older than Moscow. Moscow, whatever, I can't say it properly in English. So he just has an imperial or empirical, how do you say it,
Yep.
claim to our land because he thinks he's denazifying us, and he calls our people radical nationalists and Nazis when that's not true. They're just Ukrainian. We've always wanted to be our own thing, and he never liked that. He's always tried to install his own people in our government and control us. And now there's a little Ukrainian Jewish guy who's kicking his ass, and he doesn't like it. So
Tell me about what it first, like, obviously the news spoke of this days, weeks in advance, that it was, that he was preparing, but he kept saying, oh, they're just whatever, like, we're just practicing. But what were your
how
thoughts?
do you feel about it?
Yeah, what were your thoughts?
Well,
Did you know it was coming for sure? The invasion?
Nobody knew. Like, it it's impossible to believe even now that it's happening. Like I can't wrap my head around it. Like we've always, because there has been a war on our eastern border for a long time, for 8 years. So that wasn't news for us. And Crimea has been taken away. So we've always known he's a threat. We just never thought that he would dare. It's hard to tell. It was like the first 4 or 5 days, it was like days of impossible decisions. We didn't think that he would go this far. So did I know? No. Was I worried? Yes. I couldn't sleep. I was very stressed. I was talking to my parents every day. Everyone was stressed, but no one really knew what was coming. Apparently Americans knew and they didn't do anything about it. So yeah, we know that my parents are gonna have to leave everything they've worked for their whole life, leave it behind and run? Definitely not. They didn't.
Tell me when that came. Did you get the news that they were going to, or was it a call that they were gone?
Well, the first few days, they thought that they just need to sit it out somewhere, that he will act up, show his muscle, and go away. Because like I said, it was just unbelievable to think that he would dare to go after Kiev. So my parents just made a plan to go to the western side of Ukraine, try to sit it out there. But things were escalating really fast and they realized that they have to run out of the country. They didn't take enough of anything with them at all, and not even all of them got out. My brother, actually, the older brother, who's only 2 years younger than me, he stayed behind to take care of my grandma, who's not mobile. So he's still there. He's somewhat safe for now. I try not to think about it too much, but I do call him every day to check up on him. And yeah, in a matter of hours, not even days, they realize that they're running out of their country, out of their home, and there's no way they saw it coming. And now I'm trying to get them here, and it's still not really, I still can't quite fit it in my head. We've always dreamed of eventually bringing my family here for a vacation, for something, but never to rescue them from an evil that has been spread over my home.
What when you see the images on the news, what goes through your mind?
I know a lot of those people, and I can't. Lately, I've had to stop not looking. I check in every so often because I need to know what's going on, but I'm trying to focus my energy on taking care of my family right now. But I know so many of my friends are still sitting in bomb shelters and volunteering in like the worst places, and I just every day I message them and ask them if they're alive. So when I see those images, I just make sure that it's nobody I know, and it's not an easy thing to live with.
Yeah, it's okay. Where are your parents now? Like, are they in another country?
Yeah, they're out of Ukraine right now. They are, and we're trying to get them here. It's
So except for your brother and your grandmother,
and actually also my aunt who raised me and my sister's mother-in-law, but we haven't even talked about it yet. It's I don't know how to talk about it. Like, I don't want them to feel like they were left behind, but that's just the reality. We didn't split up like this on purpose. It was an accident because we just didn't know that it's going to be this bad. The goal was to get the little children out because my younger siblings are quite little, and my sister's children also quite little, and right now to Russians, it doesn't matter if you're a child or a soldier, they shoot you either way, from all the news that we've been seeing. But yeah, my biggest part of family got out, and I am thankful that they're alive and they're somewhat safe, but they don't feel safe where they are, and I'm trying to get them to me. So we can't quite yet sigh with a relief. While they were running to the border, it was like hell. It was like nothing they've ever experienced before, and they're utterly exhausted from it, and in the levels you can't imagine. I've never heard them sound so tired and demoralized, and it's hitting them that they've left their home. And
Were they walking or car?
both. It was both, and they went through a lot of brutal stuff. Yeah, so I'm trying to get back.
That's
to
okay.
A bit of a train of thought.
Yeah, that's okay. You're mentioning the brutal stuff, like
Yeah.
it's one of those things that, as Canadians, I can say that I can't even grasp, and we talked about this a little on the phone, what your family is going through. And I feel guilty, and I told Cecilia this, that I feel guilty turning off the news because you can't turn it off. You can't turn off what's happening to your family.
Yeah, exactly. So even though they're alive right now, they should be recovering, but they have no option to just stop and rest and recover. They need to. They're still gonna keep running until they get here, basically. So it's been very hard for them, and all of their health has been quite compromised, and I've been worried, sick about it, and praying and praying.
So are they in refugee camps?
No, they just found a place to stay. The refugee camps, I believe, are in Poland and like more that area. They're in a different place. They tried to avoid Poland because it's overcrowded. It's insane, and that's also why they don't want to stay in Europe, because they don't really belong there, and it's just too much pain. And at least here they have me, and I'm their family, and I can take care of them. So
And is it safe to say they only have the clothes on their back? Like
yeah, my mom told me the other day that she only packed like 2 pairs of pants, and that was it. And I'm pretty sure I've seen my sister in the same t-shirt for a few times now, and she happened to have a Canada Goose coat, and she said it was the only thing that saved her. It's really cold there now. It's not, their climate is not much different from ours, but it's just cold, and when you're in distress and don't have enough clothes, it's cold.
So I guess, and what can we do as Canadians to help you?
Right now I'm trying to get them plane tickets and get them to Canada, and I'm going to house them, feed them, clothe them, everything. And it's 8 people. It's a lot. I'm not rich. I wish I was. And we are throwing everything we can into getting them here safely and taking care of them. And I've been telling people on Facebook and asking for donations, something I never thought I would ask. It's another weird thing for me. Me or my family, we never ask for help. We're the ones that give help. My dad is a pastor at a church, and my mom has a small Christian school that's providing education for people, and now they don't have any of that. And they've always been helping a lot of people and never asked for anything, and now they've lost everything, and I'm asking everything for them. So there are ways to donate money to me directly, and it's going to go towards taking care of them once they get here.
Where are they now? Like what country?
Hungary.
So they are safe. It's just, and I like it. And again, I couldn't imagine this. So again, if I go on about this, forgive me. But I mean, you grew up in the one house, like
Yeah.
like as I say, your family's been there for, do I say generations or like?
Yes, it's our ancestral home. Yes, it was our heritage for a long time and our legacy. And we don't know if we can go back there. And even if we do, we hope it doesn't get stolen or ruined. And yeah, it's
Just everything's gone. It's like you don't know whether it's gone, but I mean, it's just like a fire. You don't know, like a fire or flood. You're evacuated, and you don't know what you have when you come back.
yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
What's the hardest part for you being here?
Not being able to help enough. I wish I could just go there and get them out, but I can't do that. Actually, I think the worst part of being here is being here. It's like watching someone you love being tortured, and your hands are absolutely tight and you can't do anything about it. So yeah. Now it's a bit easier because I am doing a lot about it. I haven't stopped working on the immigration process for the last 10 days, I think. I haven't really slept or eaten because I was doing that and collecting money and talking to them, and yeah, just somehow I haven't had the time for anything else. So I'm able to help a little bit more now, but it's very difficult doing that across from the world because you have to understand Ukrainians have completely different infrastructure in everything. Banking, phones, just it's life here in Canada is very simple. If you need to send your friend money, you just shoot them an e-transfer, right? Or you have healthcare, and you have all kinds of things that support you that you don't even notice. And it's complete opposite like that in Ukraine. It's very hard to live. There's no online banking the way we have it here, so you have to translate it very differently, and finding ways to send help isn't easy. Like especially people noticed that the first days of war, especially because everyone was like, where do I donate? Where do I give money? And it's like it took them a while to figure it out. But I feel like I'm sidetracking your question.
That's all right. No, it's fine. You're fine. I
What
don't.
was it originally? Maybe I'll get back.
Well, it's just tell me about like going on to the next. Where you grew up.
Yes, where I grew up.
Has it been taken over yet, or do you know? Or
I don't know,
but you said when we were looking at pictures at the where your wedding was, that the field's been bombed in the back and that.
Yeah, I knew. So there was a point. My aunt was there in my house, and she stayed behind, and I spent a lot of time just sitting with her on the phone, and she heard explosions and missiles and bombing and everything. Some of it was flying towards Kiev, some of it was flying towards villages nearby, and yeah, some of it was in that field not far from my house at all. So it was hard. She left the house right now. I don't know what is happening there. I probably find out when I call her because she's in contact with someone local from my home. But every day I'm scared to hear that something did happen. I mean,
it's a daily. It must be a daily thing where you call people just to check to see if they're okay.
Yeah, just see if
so
they're
it's like
alive.
your heart. That's right. Your heart stops until you hear that person on the other end of the phone. Each person, I take it.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know yet what has happened with the house. I continue to pray that um, it stays protected and there is a home to come back to. It stood through World War II, and I hope it will stand through now um, as well.
You said there was a.
Yeah, we had trenches in our backyard. They weren't actually active, but they had them there for protection. My grandpa did dig them up, and actually, I think Germans did walk into our house. I remember somebody told me that. We have a lot of stories like that. A lot. Oh yeah, my grandma told me they occupied my village, and
Germans?
in World War II. She was a little girl when it happened, and yeah, they were operating the town there. Um, and she lived through it, and there were trenches in my backyard to protect it. Um, yeah, so
What's for this, just to end it, again, I was talking to Cecilia on the way down here. What's going to end this war? Is it going to end? Do we have to? Does the free country, I guess if I can use that, does NATO, do we have to help, or
of course.
Ukrainians will die? Like it's like what's going to solve this war?
Well, I don't know, but what I do know is that you see, historically, this happened a lot of times, and a lot of people don't realize it because where Ukraine is, it borders between Europe and Russia, and the reason why right now Europe doesn't want to get involved is because they're scared of Russia and they're allowing my innocent people to die and fight. They've said many times that it's not their side of the conflict and they just want us to deal with it. And it happened in history before. Germans walked on top of Ukraine one way and then they walked backwards, and they did it many times. And the Soviet army wasn't nice either. So we've been tramped on many times as we stood the line between East and the West. Why I'm saying that is just to give you a perspective that we know no one's coming for help, and that is the saddest thing ever. We know that Ukraine is on its own to defend itself. But I'm not saying that Ukraine is not strong. It's strong, and we've had many men come back from other countries to Ukrainians that live outside of Ukraine come back and fight. And yes, Ukrainians will they'll kick some ass for sure. But if Putin pulls the nuclear button, no one can be saved. And that's part of the reason why my family doesn't feel safe in Europe anymore and why we're trying to get them here. We didn't think that he would go after Kiev, so why should we think that he won't pull the button?
What about your president?
Oh, he's great.
Did you think this much of him before this? Because I think he's on the world stage now, obviously, for what's happening. But I mean,
we didn't really we liked him, but not that much before. And now, yeah, he's the best person ever for sure. Yeah, the Jewish guy with iron balls. So
what last question? What do you want to say to people? Do you want people to pray? Do you want what's your message to the world?
My message to the world is that Ukraine has been defending the comfortable Western life for many times, and this is another time she's doing that. And I just want the world to be aware that while you're comfortable at your home, there are people that are dying and holding off the biggest monster there is right now out there. And they should be thankful, and they should be praying and looking into ways how they can help. That's to the world. To my local community, I'm a real person in Northumberland, and I've been a good citizen of this country or this place, and my family really needs help, and I need my community to back me up and help me to bring them here and take care of them. Canada is all about taking care of immigrants. Most Canadians are born out of someone who was running from the war, and right now it's time for my generation and my community to stand up and take care of those people that are running from the war again. Yeah, I need your help, my neighbors, please.